Hello, Dheeraj sir. Am I audible? Am I audible? Yes. Okay. Uh, so let's start the session. Uh, First agenda is, if you sit in a technical interview and you told them that you have studied C++, then what kind of question might be asked and how to tackle them and how to answer them so that you can get selected. So today's session will be dedicated to C++, starting with the first, what are the features of object-oriented programming language? C++ is an object-oriented programming language. It has features like classes, object, data hiding and encapsulation, dynamic binding, message passing, inheritance and polymorphism. Majorly, questions are asked on this topic only. Okay. I am shifting to whiteboard. Is the whiteboard visible? Okay. So first question which might be asked, what is a object? If C++ is a object oriented programming language, what is a object? So you have in C you have a variable. Basically, variable is a container in which you can store a data. It can be of any data type, integer, float or char. In C++, you can create an object which has a container which to store the data as well as function to operate on that data. That is the difference between a variable and an object. Variable stores the data and any function in your program can access that data. Whereas object stores the data as well as function to operate on that data. So apart from function 1 and function 2, any other function from your program cannot access the data stored inside the object. That is the difference between variable and object. This is the first question. What is the difference between variable and object? Second question which might be asked, difference between functional oriented programming and object oriented programming. In functional oriented programming, you have a top-down approach. Top-down means you will be given a statement. Directly you will write function to get the output. For example, addition, multiplication, subtraction, division or finding out factors, you create a program main. Inside it you declare the variable and you write the subfunction below main which can access the variable directly. That is a top-down approach where tasks are given importance. What is to be done? Function, task. In object-oriented approach, data is given importance. Data security. No other function in our program apart from the function which are decided will access the data of our program. This data security is given importance. It is a bottom-up approach. Bottom-up approach means first the data is designed, then which function will access those data are decided and the program is written to execute the task by calling the object member function. Okay. We are moving to member function technical terms. We will get to another slides to understand member function. The data inside the class is called as a member. The function which can access those data are called as member function. So difference between functional oriented programming and object oriented programming. Second question, functional oriented programming, it is a top down approach. Tasks are given importance. In object oriented programming, data security is given importance. It is a bottom up approach wherein first the data is designed and then object interact with each other to execute a task. Is the second question clear? This was the first feature of object-oriented programming language wherein we create an object. Now, next part is Class. What is a class? Next feature of object-oriented programming language, class. So, returning to the whiteboard, we are moving to class. What kind of question can be asked on this? What is a abstract class? Why class is called as abstract data type? Then from class you get a concept called as encapsulation, leading to information hiding. So class is used to create an object. So when we talk about an object, it is taking some memory in our computer and it has some data and function. To create this object, we write a class. It is a template through which an object is created. For example, if we have a class person, inside this class you will have access specifier, private. Things which are written inside the private access specifier or access mode will be accessed inside the class only, where you have data members generally. So suppose we have name. For current purpose, we are using name only as a data member and member function as display. Inside this display member function, we can write cout and display the name. Name is a variable written inside the class, can be used inside the member function of the class. So here is one example of a class. This is a prototype or a template. Object of this class is not created, but it is giving us a mechanism to combine data and function together. Here data is name and function is display. Only display function can access name. So what we are doing inside the class, we are combining data and function together. This property of combining data and function together to form an object is called as encapsulation. The answer for encapsulation, property of combining data and function together inside the class to create a object is called as encapsulation. Next, we are moving to the next question. Fourth, what is information hiding then? When you declare something inside a class as private, then that private data member of the class cannot be accessed outside the class. Therefore, it is hidden inside the class. It's not available outside the class directly. So, if I create the object of class person, suppose I am creating an object of class person. So, I will write the name of the class. In front of it, I will create an object. By doing so, we have allocated a memory for P1. P1 contains name as a data member and function member function as display. And you have another member function show. If show wants to access name, we have to pass it as a parameter. We cannot pass it directly. We have to pass it through the object of the class. We can pass it like p1.name. Indirect access. Direct access of name of p1 is not available to show function. So show was an external function. It is not accessing the private data member of the class directly, therefore private data member are hidden, therefore information hiding. So you have access specifier to restrict the access of data member or member function of the class from outside. That enables us to hide some information inside the class, to hide the complexity of the program from the external functions, that is information hiding. Are we clear with this concept, information hiding? moving back to slides, we studied object, it contains data and member. We studied class. Class is used to create object. For a given class, you can create n number of objects. It acts as a template. For example, you have a person class, so you can create person P1, P2, P3. All of them will have name and function display. P2 will have a name and function display. P3 will have a name and function display. These objects are unique in nature, means every object is different. Even though P1 has name and display, it is different from P2. These are attributes and operation. Even though the attributes and operation are same, P1 object is stored at different memory location, P2 object is stored at different memory location, P3 object is stored at different memory location, means object have their identity, they are unique in nature. That was the next part. We studied data hiding and encapsulation. Encapsulation, combining members and member function inside a class, is called as encapsulation. And inside a class, we use private access modifier, so your code and data is not accessible directly to the external function. Therefore, it is called as information hiding or data hiding. This is the third feature of object-oriented programming language supported by C++, data hiding and information hiding. Now, next concept, dynamic binding, also called as a late binding or runtime binding. So, you can get a question, what is dynamic binding or late binding or runtime binding? If you are writing a program, before the execution, if you at the compile time, if you know which object will access which function is known, then it is called as compile time binding. Dynamic binding, when you execute a program, you create a pointer, and depending on the address stored in the pointer, which function will be executed, it decided. Then you are deciding which function was to be executed at the runtime. Therefore, dynamic binding or late binding. Okay. We will see one example of this via a program, and I will explain how runtime binding, dynamic binding or late binding is being done. Next feature of object-oriented programming language is message passing. So you have object 1 name display, object 2 name display, object 3 name display. How this object interact with each other? So via the member function of one object, another object can access the data member of the other object. How? Suppose display function takes object P2 and so inside the display function it has its own, suppose P1 has called it. So inside the display function you can display name of P1. Okay, it is not visible, I am writing it here. You can access name directly because P1 has called the function, so cout name will be accessed directly, and you can access the information of P2 via object P2 dot member access operator and name. So when you do cout of this, name will display name of P1, and via P2 dot name you will display name of P2. So message passing object interact with each other via their member function by passing another object which information is to be accessed. Okay. Next is inheritance. These two topics are important, inheritance and polymorphism. We have studied object, classes, data inscription and encapsulation, dynamic binding, message passing, inheritance. When you talk about inheritance, you are talking about reuse. when you talk about inheritance, you're talking about reusability. Now, what is reusability? Previously written code which was running successfully can be used to write a new code. So if you have a previous program in which classes and objects were running successfully and you don't want to write a new program from scratch, what you can do, you can inherit the previous program into the new program and extend your implementation. So the next feature of object-oriented programming language, inheritance. We were talking about, when you talk about inheritance, you talk about reusability. Reusability means your already written code is reused to form a new code. You require less amount of time for coding because already most of the code is written. You are not writing your code from scratch. Your execution time reduces and you require less time for testing because already debugged and tested code is used for making a new code. So only part of that code which is written new is to be tested. So testing time also reduces. So we were on types of inheritance. You have single. Diagrammatically, if you want to represent single inheritance, you have a base class, and features of base class are inherited in a derived class. Base class, also called as parent class, and derived class is also called as a subclass or child class. So when you have one base class and feature of that base class is inherited in a single derived class, then it is called as a single inheritance. Then you have multi-level inheritance. Types of inheritance. Multi-level inheritance. You have base class A. Features of base class A is inherited in derived class B. Syntax will be class B public A. So mode of inheritance of class B is public. All the data members of class A will be inherited in the public section of class B. If the mode of inheritance is private, all the data members of the base class A are inherited in the private section of class B. That is mode of inheritance. The members and member function of class A, what is inherited? Only member functions. They are inherited in either private access or public access, private access specifier of class B or public part of class B. If the mode of inheritance is private, they are inherited in the private section. If the mode of inheritance is public, they are inherited in the public section of class B. There is one more question which is asked while inheritance. What is protected visibility mode? Can anyone answer me what is protected visibility mode? So while doing inheritance, if you use protected, if you are inheriting base class in derived class and use protected, you can directly use data member of class A inside class B. That is allowed using protected visibility mode. So when protected visibility mode comes into picture, when you have inheritance, if you want the data member of the base class to be directly used in the derived class, you will use protected visibility mode of inheritance. Okay. Coming back to multi-level inheritance, from A you inherited to B, class B, and from B you are inheriting to class C. So features of class A, members and members function of class A are available in class 3 via B. Therefore, multi-level inheritance. Syntax of class C while inheritance will be class C, comma, you will have public, private or protected B. So features of A were present in B, from B they are inherited in C, multi-level inheritance. Multiple inheritance is one more type. When you have multiple base classes, base class 1, base class 2, base class 3, base class 4 inherited in a single derived class, then it is called as multiple inheritance. So A, B, C, D will be inherited in class D. Mode of feasibility can be private, public or protected. Then you have hierarchical inheritance. So you get confused between multiple and hierarchical. Multiple base classes are inherited in a single derived class. In hierarchical, you have one base class which is getting inherited in multiple derived classes. Therefore, hierarchical inheritance, diagrammatically you can show it like this. Then your base derived class can be inherited in another derived classes. So it is forming a hierarchy, therefore hierarchical inheritance. After hierarchical, you can have hybrid inheritance. So what is hybrid inheritance? It is a combination of more than one type of inheritance. For example, you have base class A which is inheriting in derived class B, base class A is inheriting in derived class C. This is hierarchical. And then you have multiple, B and C is inheriting in D. So combination of more than one type of inheritance, therefore hybrid. We will see examples of these in later slides. Don't worry, I am will take the topic in detail so that you can answer the question via concept wise also, and if they ask you to write a sample program, you will be able to write it in a short amount of time with minimum amount of code. Such examples are also there in the slide. So are we clear with the feature of object oriented programming language, which is inheritance? Inheritance, reuse. You are reusing already written code to write a new code. There are multiple types of inheritance: single, multi-level, multiple, hierarchical and hybrid. We see in dynamic binding, also called as a late binding. Runtime, we decide which function will be executed. To achieve this, we use polymorphism. In polymorphism, your object function can behave differently under different circumstances or different time. Therefore, it is called as polymorphic. Same function is given different output at different time. Therefore, it is said to be polymorphic. Behavior is different. The entity is same. For polymorphism, you can have operator overloading and function overloading. Classic example of this is you can overload plus operator to do complex addition instead of integer addition. The same operator was doing addition as well as addition of complex number. Therefore, operator overloading. Function overloading, same function was adding integers, same function was adding floats. Therefore, function overloading. Same thing, behave differently under different circumstances, either object, functions, class templates. Okay, so by this we studied this concept via a overview. Is this part clear? Up till here, is it clear? Can anyone reply? Okay. Now we are moving to important topics which can be asked via example and explaining them. So next question which can be asked is what is called by value, what is called by reference and what is called by alias. Is the program visible? This program? Now visible. Okay. So here we are studying call by value. Function is used to execute a task. Inside a function we can pass parameters. So that parameters can be variables directly or address of variables. In C we have seen that when you call a function you have to pass the parameter and then they are accepted at the function definition where it is written. So in this example we are writing a swap function declaration void swap. It is taking two arguments x and y. Inside the program we are taking a and b. We are calling the swap function. At the time of calling of the function, signature of the function is not written, directly name of the function is written and parameters are passed. So we are passing a and b. Control will be transferred from swap function to the function definition. Below main it is written. A will be accepted in x, b is accepted in y. This a and b values are getting passed and accepted as value in x and y, where a and b are variables of main function and x and y are variables of swap function which are at different memory location. So a was containing 100, b was containing 200. When they are passed, a is stored in x, so x will be 100 and b is stored in y, so y will be 200. Values are passed. Now what we are doing, we are swapping the value of x and y. So we have stored in temp the value of x, then value of y is stored in x and value of temp is stored in y. So swapping is done. So new value of y is 100 and new value of x is 200. Up till here it is clear. We return to our program, we print the value of a and b again. So previously the value of a and b was 100, 200. Now after execution of swap function, again we print the value of a and b. So a was 100 and b was 200. So if you can see the output, call by value, before swap 100, 200, after swap 100 and 200. Concept is you pass values and accept them in the variables. If you change the variable in the function, those changes will not be reflected in your main program variables. Therefore, it is called as call by value. Is this clear? Can anyone reply? हाँ, यहाँ पे swap function है, वो swap function कॉल हुआ है. कॉल होने के बाद a का वैल्यू x में गया है, b का वैल्यू y में गया है और यहाँ पे हमने x और y की वैल्यू एक्सचेंज की है. ये फंक्शन एग्जीक्यूट होने के बाद फिर से स्वैप के बाद वाला लाइन एग्जीक्यूट हुआ है जहां a b का वैल्यू प्रिंट हुआ है. सो जब कॉल बाय वैल्यू होता है a और b का वैल्यू चेंज नहीं होता, इसलिए उसको कॉल बाय वैल्यू बोलते हैं. मेन फंक्शन से वैल्यूज पास करते हैं और फंक्शन में वेरिएबल्स में उनको एक्सेप्ट करते हैं. वैल्यूज आर बीइंग पास्ड एंड एक्सेप्टेड इन वेरिएबल्स, so changes in the variable of the function will not be reflected in the main program, therefore call by value. अभी क्लियर है? ओके, इसका नेक्स्ट एग्जांपल फिर से समझते फिर और समझेगा. ठीक है, नेक्स्ट एग्जांपल है कॉल बाय रेफरेंस. फंक्शन सेम है, स्वैप. हमने दो वेरिएबल लिए, ए बी में वैल्यू डाला, ए बी का वैल्यू प्रिंट किया. ए वाज 100, बी वाज 200. ए प्रिंट हुआ 100, बी प्रिंट हुआ 200. जब कॉल कर रहे हैं, वी आर पासिंग एड्रेसेस ऑफ द वेरिएबल एंड एक्सेप्टेड देम इन पॉइंटर वेरिएबल्स x and y. So when you are passing addresses and accepting them in the pointer variable, it is called as call by reference. Concept of C. Addresses are being passed and storing it in a pointer variable. So here is one more question which can be asked. What is a pointer? Pointer is a special type of variable which is used to store the object address of the variable. So variable क्या होता है? Data store करता है. Pointer क्या होता है? किसी भी वेरिएबल का एड्रेस स्टोर करता है. Here swap में when we are calling swap function, we are passing address of A and address of B. So addresses are being passed. So you have require special type of variable to store them. So A and B were integers. So we created integer pointer X and integer pointer Y. Address of A is being passed in X and address of B is being passed in Y. So this is called as call by reference. Any changes which you do in this pointer notation X and Y will be reflected on A and B because they are passed as a reference. You are working on the same memory location by two different names. So you are accessing the same memory location and doing the changes. For example, A previously was 100. B previously was 200. These are two variables. Suppose this is present at address 11. Variable B is present at address 22. Up till here program is clear. Then you have a swap function being called. Address of A is being passed and address of B being passed, and it is stored in a pointer variable X. X is a variable which is storing 11. Y is a variable which is storing 22. Address of X and Y. Okay. Now what you are doing, you are swapping the value of X and Y. You are creating a variable temp which was empty. Then you are storing value at the address operator star of X. X is 11. Value at X is 100. It's stored in temp. Star of X is stored in temp. Now star of Y is stored in star of X. Value at address Y is stored in value at address X. So value at address Y, it contains address 22. Value is 200. It is stored in value at the address X. X contain 11. 11 contain 100. But we have to store the value at address Y. Therefore it becomes 200. Similarly, temp is stored in value at address Y. So Y contains 22. 22 is referring to B. At B we have to store temp. So what does B become? 100. So initially A was 100, it becomes 200. Initially B was 200, it becomes 100. How it was possible? It was possible via call by reference. Addresses are being passed and they are stored in pointer variables. Is it clear? Can anyone reply? Yes, sir. Okay. In short, what you can say, call by value, values are being passed, accepted in variable. Call by reference, addresses are being passed and accepted in pointer variables. The changes which are done on the call by value are not reflected in the main program. Changes which are done inside the call by reference part are reflected in the main program. Now you have new introduction in C++ where you pass variables and accept them as address. What you are doing, call by alias, you are passing A and B and they are given an address X and Y. So same variable same address is given two different names, therefore alias. So if you start with the program, we have prototype of the function void swap. At the time of declaration, here we are writing int x, % of x and % of y, because they are accepted as reference, therefore this is important. You are taking the value of A as 10, so you have A as 100, B as 200, These two part is clear. Now we are calling swap function. We are printing A and B 100 200 and we are calling swap function. Now here you see when you are calling swap function you are passing A and B only. What you are passing? Variables only. A or B यानी 100 200 pass कर रहे. When you are accepting at this part, you are accepting that as a references x and y. यानी ये जो A का address है, A's address which was 11 will be the address of x. So x is also referring to 11. ये y का address है, suppose B was 22. So B's address is y, means B is referring to the location 22. Okay, so same variable A and X is referring to 11. Same variable B and Y is referring to 22. Therefore, call by alias. A same alias means a same function has two names. Whether I am called Parag or I am called David. Same person is referred by two names but referring to me only. Similarly, 22 is accessed by B or 22 is accessed by Y. 11 is accessed by A or 11 is accessed by X. Therefore, call by alias. Variables values are being passed and accepted as references. So, if you do changes on X and Y, swapping the value of X and Y, you are changing the same memory location. So, A will be 200, after swapping A will be 200 and B will be 100. If you are accessing the same memory location and doing the changes by call by alias, they are referring to the same memory. Therefore, changes done on X and Y will be reflected on A and B itself. So, X को X में temp X का value temp में save किया. So, temp will be X value was 100, तो temp में 100 चला गया. Now, X के अंदर Y का value डाला. What is Y? 200. X के अंदर Y का वैल्यू डाला यानी ये क्या हो गया 200 हो गया. फिर temp का वैल्यू Y में डाला. Temp is 100. Y के अंदर 100 हो गया. What is the new value of X and Y? 200 and 100. What is A? Same memory location 11. B? Same memory location 22. So when you return after execution of this program, you print A and B, which is 200 and 100. So changes which are done by call by alias are also reflected in the main program. So what is the difference between call by reference and call by alias? In call by reference, what you do? You pass the addresses and store them in pointer variable. In call by alias, what you do? You pass the variable and give them a new reference. You pass the value and give them a new address. Is it clear? Can anyone reply?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, overall, call by value, call by reference, call by alias. Call by value, values are passed, accepted as variable. Call by reference, addresses are passed, accepted in pointer variable. Changes done in the function will be reflected in the main program. Call by alias, values are passed, accepted as reference. Changes done directly on the variable, not through pointer, directly on the variable will be reflected in the main program. So, I think this much part about that explanation is sufficient if you explain what is call by value, call by alias and call by reference. Moving to the next part, polymorphism, function overloading, also called as method overloading. Example of compile time binding. Compile time binding means before execution of program. So what you are answering in this topic, if interviewer asks what is function overloading, or he asks what is method overloading, or he says give me an example of compile time binding. Before the running of the program, it is decided which object will be calling which function or which function will be executed, that is called as compile time binding. So these three questions we are answering in this part. Is it clear? Topic: function overloading, also called as method overloading. Example of compile time binding. यहाँ पे this statement you should read in your mind or note it down. Function with same name and different prototype. It is called as function overloading. Prototype is different, but the function name is same. Supported in C++, not in C. Function with same name and different prototype. Now we need to understand what is prototype. Prototype means return type of the function, function name, inside opening and closing parenthesis, you have parameters with the type int a, int, int. So return type name of the function, type of parameter, this is called as signature of this function. For example, return type of some function is int, name of the function is same, and it is taking two parameters which are integer, int and int. This is called as signature, return type, name of the function and return type. What I am saying, you have function with the same name and different signature. Float, sum, float A, float B. What is different? Function has name same, which is sum, but the prototype means signature is different. For the first function, return type was int. For the second function, return type was float. For the first function, parameter type were int. For the second function, parameter types were float. Okay. So function with the same name and different prototype, that is the example of function overloading or method overloading or example of compile time binding. Now, why it is called as compile time binding? Here we take one example. Here we have created a class. What is the class name? Class name is print data. Inside the class you have a member function print. It is printing the value of I, but type of I is integer. So you have print function with prototype, it is taking parameter int. Now you again have print function, but the prototype is different. It is taking parameter double. Again you have print function which is taking a string as an argument. Therefore parameter type char star C. So you have print function 1, 2, 3 function with the same name and different prototype. Therefore function overloading, method overloading. Inside the class main, you are creating object of class PD. Print data is the class name, you are creating an object. So PD object is created inside the memory. It has three functions: print, print. All the functions are with the same name. There is ambiguity. So how it will be resolved? So PD is calling print function, but it is calling an argument which is integer. So at the compile time, it will be decided that this print function will call the first print, which is having a prototype of integer. So therefore output of this program was print int 5. In the second case, PD print function is called. Now this ambiguity will be resolved. कौन सा print call करना है? इसका argument क्या है? Float. तो कौन सा print call होगा? Float वाला print call होगा. Okay. Output will be printing float f. What is the value? Now pd.print you are passing string. So कौन सा print call होगा? जो print में string accept कर रहे हैं वो print call होगा. Here we are counting printing character. Hello C++. So at the compile time, depending on the argument type or the signature, which print function will be executed, therefore compile time polymorphism, okay, or compile time binding. Are these two concepts clear? Can anyone reply? Okay. So what is function overloading? Function with the same name and different prototype. Here class print data has three function print. Their name was same, but the prototype means signature were different. Why compile time binding? Depending on the parameter passed to the function, which function was getting executed was decided before the running of the program. Therefore, compile time binding, or also called as static binding. इसी को क्या बोलते हैं? This is also called as static binding. Okay, so function overloading and method overloading can be explained by this example. Also, compile time binding or static binding can be also explained by this simple example. Okay, am I audible? Function overloading, function with the same name and different prototype. This is to be remembered. Compile time binding, by the argument time which function will be executed will be decided, therefore compile time binding or static binding. Simple example with output. Function overriding, method overriding, dynamic binding or runtime binding. Okay, so if you get a question what is function overriding or method overriding or what is dynamic binding or runtime binding, you can use this example and explain. When you have function with the same name and different prototype, it is called as function overloading. बहुत सारे function है, overload हो गया 1 2 3 4. But if you have function with the same name and same prototype, means function has same name as well as same signature. This return type, name of the function, number of arguments inside the function are same. So when you call that function, which function will be executed will give an ambiguity. There will be ambiguity. There are two functions, two person with the same name, same feature, same. Suppose you have twins. So you have a twin A and twin B. They look same. They suppose accidentally they have same name, Ram. So it will be difficult to distinguish between Ram and Ram because they are twin, they look same, they have same appearance. So how to decide which function to execute? Therefore, at the runtime of the program, which one will be executed is decided, therefore runtime binding or dynamic binding. Okay. It is also called as method overriding. Why? Because you have function with the same name and same prototype. The function which is written last will be executed first. Override kiya. Previous definition was function was different. And now you are writing the new definition. So new definition will take over the old definition and execute. तुमने function को change किया. Name और signature same ही था. जो सबसे last में जो function लिखा वो execute होगा. Therefore overriding. Okay. So we understand this by example. Here in this example you have a base class with the name base class. You have a function display and you have a function show. You have derived class. Class derived is inheriting the member function of the base class. Therefore, the public section of the base class will be inherited in the public section of the derived class because mode of inheritance was public. If it was private, public section of the base class would inherit in private section of the derived class. Now, inside the derived class, you have a function display. So you have display function and display function. So if you create the object of derived class, so मैं derived का object बनाता हूँ. यहाँ पे क्या create किया है? Derived class dr. So what is being created? Dr being created. What is there inside dr? It has a display function. Okay. And it has two more functions, display and show. और function है display और show. So display कितने बार हो गए? 2 बार हो गए. तो कौन सा डिस्प्ले एग्जीक्यूट होगा, क्योंकि ये डिस्प्ले का भी प्रोटोटाइप क्या है, वॉइड डिस्प्ले, रिटर्न टाइप नेम ऑफ द फंक्शन एंड नंबर ऑफ आर्ग्यूमेंट्स, नंबर ऑफ आर्ग्यूमेंट 0, रिटर्न टाइप नेम ऑफ द फंक्शन, नंबर ऑफ आर्ग्यूमेंट क्या है 0. So the function which are having same name and same prototype. So if you call base class display of base class will be executed. If you call derived class and display function, derived class display will be executed. So अगर मैं dr से display run करता हूँ, so which function was written last? This display function was written last. Therefore, display of derived will be executed. This is display method of derived class. Because it was written last. You have two display function, one for base class, one from derived class. But derived class display function was written last. Therefore, it was executed. It is overriding the signature of display function of the base class. Okay. Because your object was dr, you have two display function, ambiguity was there, so derived class was written later, so display of derived will be executed. Okay, this is called as method overriding. Override किया, previous display की जगह नया display run होगा. Is it clear? Keeping this on hold, dynamic binding and runtime binding, we are moving to the next part to understand it. So here what we have seen, what is method overriding? Method with the same name and same prototype. Method which was written last will be executed first, therefore overriding. Polymorphism. For implementing polymorphism, we require virtual function. If your virtual function does not contain any code, this is called as pure virtual function. And what do you mean by abstract classes? The classes which contains pure virtual function cannot be instantiated, therefore they are called as abstract classes. So what question we are answering? What is polymorphism? What are virtual functions? What is a pure virtual function? What are abstract classes and concrete classes? So if you have a class A, it has a member int A and it has a member function display. Inside the display we are counting A, displaying the value of A. Simple class. This class can be instantiated directly. A, you have to create an object of class A, you will create obj1. Via obj1 you can call the display function. Such classes are called as concrete classes which can be instantiated directly. You can create an object of class A and when you run obj display, it can run directly. Garbage value will be displayed because we have stored nothing in A. Okay. Such classes are called as concrete classes. Now, extending this example, suppose you have class A. And it had a function whose definition was not defined. So int A public, you are writing the member function here. Void display body of this function is not defined, means the function is empty. That function body will be defined later. Such classes where it contains a function which doesn't have complete implementation are called as abstract classes. Why? Because you cannot instantiate them directly, they contain a function which is not defined completely. It will be defined later while inheritance. Therefore, those are called as abstract classes. So, what is the difference between abstract classes and concrete classes? Concrete classes can be instantiated directly. All the member and member function are defined. Whereas abstract classes are those classes which contain member function which are not defined. They will be defined later. They cannot be instantiated directly, therefore abstract. इसका implementation define बाद में करते हैं derived class में, इसलिए उसको बोलते हैं abstract classes. So why we require virtual function? To implement polymorphism. So we said polymorphism, function behave differently under different circumstances, object behave differently under different circumstances, therefore polymorphic. एक ही बंदा अलग अलग समय पे अलग अलग काम कर रहा है, एक समय पे अच्छा भी है, एक समय पे बुरा भी है, यानी वो बंदा पॉलीमॉर्फिक है. He is showing different behavior at different times, therefore polymorphic. So understanding this concept with the example, you require inheritance, you require a function with the same name in the base class as well as derived class, and you require base class pointer. Three things are needed. What are needed? Inheritance. You require function with the same name and same prototype in the base class and derived class, and you require a base class pointer. And lastly, for polymorphism, you require a keyword virtual. You don't define the keyword virtual, you will not get polymorphic behavior. So what I am talking, we will see by example. You have class shape. It has a constructor shape. It is a member function which is used to initialize the data member of the class. So width को A से initialize किया, height को B से initialize किया. For our purpose, we have shape function. We have area function in the base class. Now the base class shape is getting inherited in derived class rectangle. Public section of the base class will be present in the public section of the derived class. Okay. Now here you have again a area function which is displaying width into height. Rectangle class area written width into height. Width into height will be computed and it will be written and it will be printed. You have class triangle public shape. It also has area function. So you have base class, derived class, inheritance. You have function with the same name, area, area, area in the base class as well as derived class. This was class definition. Now we are moving to our main program. Inside the main program, we are creating a rectangle object. We are creating a pointer of the base class. Here, shape star shape. Object name, the pointer name is shape. When you are storing the address of rectangle object, it will display the area of. Now you haven't declared the area function virtual. So pointer object will be given importance and you are calling area function, so area of base class will be displayed. You are storing triangle object in shape class and you are displaying area. Base class pointer area function will be displayed. In both the cases, parent class area. What was displayed? Parent class area and parent class area. Because there was no keyword virtual. So shape area and shape area, both the time they were executing this area function of the base class. So they are not polymorphic, they are showing same behavior at different times. But magic happens when you add a keyword called as virtual. If your base class area function was declared virtual int area, then instead of the type of pointer of the base class, address assigned to the pointer will be given importance. For example, if we store address of rect, output will be rectangular class area. If we store address of triangle, output will be triangle class area. So, depending on the address of the object assigned, base class pointer was executing different function at different time, therefore polymorphic. रेक्टेंगल का एड्रेस बेस क्लास के पॉइंटर में स्टोर किया तो रेक्टेंगल का एरिया प्रिंट हुआ, ट्रायंगल का ऑब्जेक्ट बेस क्लास के पॉइंटर में स्टोर किया तो ट्रायंगल का एरिया प्रिंट हुआ, देयरफॉर पॉलीमॉर्फिक. रन टाइम बाइंडिंग और डायनामिक बाइंडिंग, ये एरिया कौन सा एरिया फंक्शन डिसाइड एग्जीक्यूट होना है वो किससे डिसाइड हो रहा है, एड्रेस ऑफ द ऑब्जेक्ट असाइन. इफ इट इज वाज रेक्टेंगुलर ऑब्जेक्ट, एरिया ऑफ रेक्टेंगल. If it is was triangle object, area of triangle. Therefore, at the running of the program, depending on the address of the object assigned, which area function is executed is decided. Therefore, dynamic binding or runtime binding. For this purpose, what you require? Inheritance. You require base class and derived class. You require function with the same name inside the base class and derived class. If you receive the base class function by virtual, depending on the address of the object assigned, area function will be executed. Therefore, polymorphic. Shape area in first case displaying area of rectangle, shape area in the second case displaying area of triangle. Same line was displaying different output at different times, therefore polymorphic. So, by just adding a keyword virtual, you are converting a static linking or static binding into dynamic binding. So, if keyword virtual was not there, type of pointer was given importance, both the cases area of base class was displayed. But when keyword virtual was added, address of object assigned to the pointer variable was given importance and shape function of that address assigned class will be, area function of address assigned class will be executed by the pointer. Is it clear? Can anyone reply? Can anyone reply? Okay, this is high level concept. I'm once repeating it, the main part which you have to understand. If you have inheritance, if you have function with the same name in the base class and derived class, if you have base class pointer, and if you have keyword virtual, then you can implement polymorphism. So in the base class pointer, you are putting the address of the derived class. If the base class function is virtual, then type of address assigned to the pointer will be given importance and that class function will be displayed. So at the runtime, which we are deciding depending on the address of the object assigned which function to execute, then it is called as dynamic binding or late binding. Okay. So what we have answered, what is polymorphism? Object or function behave differently under different circumstances. How we can create a function virtual? By preceding the function by keyword virtual. यहाँ पे बेस क्लास में int area function था, उसको virtual करना है तो उसके पहले क्या लिखना पड़ता है? Virtual. Why we convert a function into virtual? To implement polymorphism, to get polymorphism, so that same line can give different output at different times. Therefore, we convert a function of the base class into a virtual function. What is a base class pointer? Through the class name, we are creating a pointer that is a base pointer. Here we have rectangle object, triangle object. We are storing the address of rectangular object in shape, triangle object in shape, shape area and shape area. Once it is displaying the area of rectangle, once it is displaying the area of triangle, therefore polymorphic. Why dynamic binding or late binding? Depending on the type of address assigned, function will be executed. If rectangle, then rectangle. If triangle, then triangle. What are abstract classes and concrete classes? Classes which can be instantiated directly are called as concrete classes. Classes which cannot be instantiated directly. Why they can be instantiated directly? They contain function whose definition is not given, therefore they are called as abstract classes. Now what is pure virtual function? Polymorphism to ho gaya. What is pure virtual function? Virtual function which does not contain any body, if it is there for just implementation of polymorphism, then that virtual function is pure virtual function. For example, in this case, you have area function. If area function, we don't want this body because we want area function to be executed depending on the address of object assigned. What we do? We don't write the body of the function. We precede the keyword virtual, we write the area function and succeed it by is equal to 0. Virtual function does not contain body, it is present in the base class, it is just there to implement polymorphism. Syntax is precede the function which is to be converted into virtual by virtual keyword, write the function name prototype, succeed it by is equal to 0 semicolon. So, in simple you can say virtual function which is having no body or empty body is called as a pure virtual function. It is just there to implement polymorphism. Is it clear? Can anyone reply? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, next question which is asked is what are virtual base classes and why they are different from virtual functions. So, moving to the drawing board. If you have a class A, it is inherited in class B. Means member and member function of class A are inherited in class B. Member and member function of class A is inherited in class C. And via B and C, you are inheriting in D. The hybrid inheritance, normal example. Suppose it has a function, A has a function F1. So F1 will be inherited in B via inheritance. F1 will be inherited in C via inheritance. In D, how many F1 functions are available to? One from B and one from C. So how D will decide which F1 function to execute? Because it will see it came from B, but B will say it came from A. So this F1 function is of A. D will see F1 function is of C. F1 will say this F1 function is of A. So again you have F1 function of A. So you have two F1 function from A which are present in D. Via inheritance hierarchy, D came to know that they are of same class A, means you have two functions with the same name and same prototype of the same class. So it results in ambiguity. To resolve this ambiguity, we declare our base class as virtual. So when you want to resolve this ambiguity, you are declaring your base class as virtual. That is called as a virtual base class. Now what is the difference between virtual function and base class? When you are declaring a class virtual, then it is called as a virtual base class. Generally base classes are declared virtual. And for polymorphism, when you are declaring a function virtual, then it is called as a virtual function. That is the difference. Virtual function implement polymorphism. Virtual base classes remove ambiguity. When you have multiple functions from the same class repeating multiple times in the derived class, then the base class should be declared as virtual. So which class is to be declared virtual? A.